time to graph some parabolas. Here you go. So we are going to start by graphing in standard form. So all of them 1 through 6 do like this. And then 7 through 12, you'll do like the second one. A for the day. Who remembers how to find the vertex if it's in standard form? Very good. Negative b over 2a. What is negative b? Positive 4 divided by 2 times a. 2. 4 over 2 is 2. So the x value of the vertex is 2. How do I figure out the y value? I plug it in. 2 squared is 4, minus 8 is negative 4, minus 2 is negative 6. So my vertex is 2, negative 6. I will plot that over 2, down 6. The axis of symmetry. You talked about last year. We haven't talked about this year. The axis of symmetry is a vertical line. Vertical lines have an equation. X equals is the equation. And it's always x equals the x value of your vertex. So it's going to be x equals 2. Anybody know what the axis of symmetry does? Yeah, it divides it symmetrically. Divides it right in half. And this is helpful to us so we can graph it even better. Who knows what the y-intercept is? Negative 2. It's just y-intercept in standard form is just c. So negative 2. Because you would plug in 0. You would plug in 0 and you get 0 minus 2 is negative 2. Okay? So we get negative 2. So I can plot negative 2. If I know that point, what other point do I know? I know that one right there, right? Because it reflects over the axis of symmetry. How do I find the x-intercepts? I set the function equal to 0, and I solve. I solve three different ways I could solve it. I could, number 1, factor it. Does this factor? No. So B, I could complete the square, or C, I could use a quadratic formula, and I like to use a quadratic formula. Okay. You could check it with your calculator, but you must, on this test, express the solution in simplest radical form as well. I will forgive you. And then I will burn your homework. Okay. So, quadratic formula, yes. Oh, minus 4x minus 2. Thank you, Regent. Thank you. Okay, so quadratic formula says negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. You know this, right? We take negative b, which is positive 4, plus or minus square root of, what's b squared? 16 minus 4 times a is 1 and c is negative 2, all divided by twice your a value, which is 2. A for the day, what do we call this thing underneath the square root sign? Starts with a D. kind of like discriminant. It's the discriminant. It discerns what type of solutions you have. If it's positive, you have 2 solutions. If it's negative, you have imaginary solutions, so no real solutions. If it's 0, you have 1 solution. So we'll now evaluate the discriminant. We have 16 minus negative 8, which is square root of 24. Can you reduce the square root of 24? 2 roots of 6. So we have 4 plus or minus 2 roots of 6 over 2. Can you reduce that? 4 plus or minus square root of 6. I'm sorry, 2 plus or minus square root of 6. Now, Riz is going to type the quadratic formula into her calculator. She's going to type a 1, a -4, and a -2, and that's going to give the decimals for us. So you can either compute this by hand, 2 plus square root of 6, 2 minus square root of 6, or you can check it in your graphic calculator. What do you come up with? So we got 4.44 and negative 0.44. So I can plot those values, 4.44 and negative 0.44. Do those look like they match up with where the x-intercepts would be? So it looks like we've done this correctly. I can now draw the rest of the graph. I've answered all the important parts. And in fact, if I want to check my answer, which you guys, I don't have an answer key today. I'll try to get one made for tomorrow, but no guarantees there. You can check your own work. That's the sign of being a good mathematician. The way you can check it is you can type it in here. If we go x squared minus 4x minus 2, and I'm going to graph it in a 6 by 6 window since that's what I have here. Are those pretty much the same? They are. And so, you can have confidence that you probably did it correct. Any questions on that? Okay, I just want you guys to know that problem 2, that will factor. Problem 3 probably won't factor. 4, that does factor. And we've spent plenty of time factoring, and I know that you may not remember it. The quadratic formula always works. So if you can't factor it, if you don't know how to do it, you can always use the quadratic formula. Okay, let's go to problem number 6, or 7, excuse me. For 7 through 12, you will put them in vertex form. Now, the reason why we're practicing this again today is I wanted you guys to do both of them on the same day, so you could kind of keep it straight in your mind. I don't feel like you were good enough at this yesterday for us to just move on from it. I wanted more practice. So, was I right? Okay, Casey says yes, it was a good idea to spend a little bit more time. Does anybody know how to put this into vertex form? Remember, vertex form is y equals a times x minus h quantity squared plus k. And we call it vertex form because the vertex is hk. Question, Casey. Oh, you know how to start it off. What do I do first? Good. So I write y equals -2 parentheses x squared minus 2x parentheses. If I factor out a -2, it will turn to the negative, right? That's okay. I made that mistake first or second hour. So if I have this, what number do I add in order to complete the square? I take 2, I divide it by 2 to get 1, and I square it to get 1. So you add 1. Now, if I added 1, what is the true value of that 1? The true value of that 1 is a -2. Why, Jesse? Yeah, so I really subtracted 2 to this side. So to balance that out, I should add 2 to this side as well. So you remember the steps we used to take to complete the square. It looks like this is really just a 2-step process, so we've maybe reduced the amount of work it takes to really complete the square. I hope. I hope that that's the case. So my new equation will then read y is equal to -2 times, what does that factor down to? X minus 1 quantity squared plus 2. Good. What is the vertex? Good. The horizontal shift, which is 1, and the vertical shift, which is 2. Now, everybody pause there, look on the board. This is the one piece that is kind of new that I want you to understand. We didn't talk about the y-intercept with these. But if you look, obviously, what's the y-intercept of this? 0. But let's suppose that you just had it in vertex form, and you were wondering how to find the y-intercept. What is the x value of the y-intercept? What's the x value along the y-axis? 0. So if we want to find the y-intercept and it was in this form, all we would have to do is plug in 0 for x and simplify. I plug in 0 here, I get 0 minus 1 is -1 squared. 1 times -2, -2 plus 2. So you can see that by plugging in 0 for x, you can find the y-intercept as well. Now, obviously, we can look at the original part, but I want you guys to know that on your sheet of notes I gave you, that also tells you how to do that. So I could graph it now. And the reason why I like to find the y-intercept is as I graph it, I plot 1, 2, which is my vertex. And then I know that I have this axis of symmetry that goes down the middle. I didn't ask you to find it for these. But the axis of symmetry, it goes down the middle. If I have the point, or the y-intercept of 0, what other point can I plot? 2, 0. So that gives you a better idea of exactly what the shape looks like. So now I could draw my parabola. And does that have a minimum or a maximum? It has a max value of 2. Piece of cake, upside down. So if you want to verify that that is correct, again, you can go to your calculator and type in, negative 2x squared plus 4x. And we press graph. That's what we get. And that's exactly what I have right here. So we've confirmed it. Any questions? So Sarah and Casey said that it's helpful to see it again together. You guys all, you agree? You have the rest of the hour to work, which is about 25 minutes. I think that most everybody got at least half of it done. Some people got the whole thing done during class. It really depends on how quickly you work. But on the test, so this was the question that people had. They were concerned. They said, Mr. Gentz, will you tell us whether we need to put it in vertex form or standard form? And I said, yes. On the test, you have 2 questions for each. So I'll say, this is in standard form. Provide all these characteristics. And then I'll give you 2 more where I'll say, put them into vertex form and find these characteristics. So I'll tell you. But from that point on, after that test, you can always do whichever method you want. Question? Okay, I'm going to stop this, and I'll come around and help you guys. You know your assignment. This worksheet will be due come test day.